Man, Rick Ross made a huge mistake when he dissed Drake. And I'm about to tell you why. The first week sales projections are in for his latest album, Set in Stone, and it's set to debut outside the top 20 on the Billboard 200. Academics said he might have did less than 10K in streaming equivalent units. And 50 is trolling him saying he only sold 2,000. Bro, I'm about to break it all down, but before I do, man, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. We new on the channel. It's your boy Silk with Tapped In TV. Bro, let's go through this whole thing. First off, Rick Ross just dropped his album Set in Stone, which, listen, I grew up, Rick Ross was one of my favorite artists. Teflon Don, God Forgives I Don't, some of the mixtapes, some of the songs he had with Future, all of them records. He's definitely a legend. He's been in the game 20 years. This ain't nothing personal against you, Rose. But we got to be objective. And for me, I listened to the album from top to bottom, and Set in Stone was the right name because this album isn't going to hurt his legacy or help it. That's already set in stone. To me, the album was just all right. And I felt like we could have did without it. You know what I'm saying? Just being honest. Or if he wanted to drop it, which is cool. I'm not going to ever tell an artist not to make music, but it was just all right. All right, but that's on the music part of it. But now we got the numbers, we got the projections, and it's currently set to debut outside the top 20 on the Billboard 200, which means that it did under 26K units. Academics is saying it did less than 10K streaming equivalent units.
Yeah, Ross's streams did look a little crazy. I can't even cap with you still. Ross's album streams was notoriously low. Supposedly he did less than 10K.
And of course, because Rick Ross and 50 will never end their beef, 50 is trolling him. Now, why did I say that he made a huge mistake dissing Drake? It's because now when you diss Drake, all of the Drake fans, all of the trolls are about to compare your numbers to the Iceman, to Drake. And you know, can't nobody compete with Drake when it comes to numbers like that at this point in the rap game, pretty much. So this is why you shouldn't have came at Drake, bro. Because now you unfairly getting compared to him, right? Like Rick Ross is 20 years in the game. He came out with what? Hustling around 05, 06. It's 2026. So he shouldn't really be getting compared to Drake 20 years later, right? But Ross kind of felt this shit coming. You know, before the album even dropped, he went ahead and put that statement out there saying, yo, I already got paid for the album in advance.
So when it come to making moves, I'm telling y'all this because I'm getting ready. I'm doing some, album shit, right? But for the ones that want to know, this album number 12, Rose, how are you always so confident when it come to your business, because it go the way I wanted to go? My album come out, I'm already paid before the album come out. It's Rose. I don't know when them niggas sit on them podcasts doing all them little deals, I don't know what little niggas y'all talking to. The industry has changed, and guess what? As a boss, you put the number up there. This is what we gonna do, just to do business with me. I've sold records, nigga, for the last 20 years. You know what I do, not just for myself, but the entire brand. Rose paid. I pray y'all niggas get paid before the album come out, nigga, because when you put the album together, that's the work.
When Rick Ross put that out, bro, that to me kind of told me he felt like, yeah, these numbers might not be that good. So let's go ahead and walk through this timeline a little bit. You know, the boy got the laptop right here. Let's walk through this timeline. I'm not going to be too long on this, but just to give y'all that context out there. So it all started when Rick Ross appeared on Future's 2024 album, We Don't Trust You, in the middle of Future and Metro beefing with Drake. Drake, as somebody who's given Ross a lot of hits over the years, as somebody who's had a good relationship with Ross over the years, didn't really appreciate that. And he gave him a couple bars on his first diss of the Kendrick and Drake battle, Push-Ups. And he said, I might take your latest girl and cuff her like I'm Ricky. Can't believe he jumping in, this nigga turning 50. Every song that made it on the chart he got from Drizzy, spend that little check you got and mind your fucking business. Or stay out my business, right? He sent a little pow at Ross. And Ross proceeded to troll him at that point by calling him white boy.
Oh, it's such a beautiful day. Me waking up from a nap, I just realized BBL Drizzy called his mommy on me. He shared their text messages between each other. Cupcake Drake, tell your mama you stayed out past your curfew, white boy. You wanted to hang at the park with the niggas, smoke weed with the niggas while we washed our old school Chevys. White boy, you got a Chevy, white boy? I doubt it. But anyway, big nose.
After Ross did that, Ross go ahead and drop his song, Champagne Moments, where he took more shots at Drake and said, yeah, nigga, on them early records, you needed my help, which was true. At the time, I know Drake's the biggest now, but 2011, 2010, 2012, it was a lot of hate on Drake at that time because who is this light-skinned nigga that raps and sings? And at that time, Drake was giving him big looks on Aston Martin Music and shit like that, Stay Scheme and all of those records. All of those things did help Drake at the time. It's no denying it. But here we are 14 years later past 2012, right? And at this point, the tide has turned. There's no question about that. Ross is well respected, but it's okay to say, hey, as a rapper, not as a businessman, as a rapper, he's peaked, right? Like as far as popularity goes. So now Drake drops Iceman, right? And Rick Ross comes out and he says, Iceman flopped and Drake is not on his level.
Did you put Drake at your level?
No.
You're not putting Drake at your level.
With the numbers and all of the fake numbers flood the marketplace, 50 something. That shit ain't nothing.
Did you listen to Iceman, the new?
I listened to some of it. My
What'd you think
engineer
about it?
it was horrendous. The world knew what day it was coming out, and the shit came out and really, folded.
Now that to me was the key mistake that Ross made right there. Because I think we had all moved on from his little spat with Drake. You know what I mean? Like they just had a little pows back and forth. You feel me? But when you said that about Iceman, now you reignited the shit knowing you had an album coming. So first Ross pushes back the album. Okay, cool. And then Ross gets caught on the plane, right? He gets caught at the commercial airport, which I know you like, why do niggas have a problem with that? The only reason niggas had a problem with that is because Ross makes his whole brand, I'm a boss, I'm rich, I'm this, I'm that. Drake's not on my level. So now when people see you flying commercial, they giving you a hard time because of you taking that stance, bro. That's all it is. Most of us fly commercial, right? But for you, when you taking this boss stance and then you doing that, that's where the problem comes in, okay? So now he puts out that video, yo, I already got paid for the album in advance. To me, you can smell the good first week numbers aren't coming. You smell those numbers, it's probably not going to be the greatest, right? So he's trying to jump ahead of it. Cool. Then he drops his album, Set in Stone, which the album was solid, bro. Like, to briefly give y'all some recap on the actual album itself, I'll go through a brief breakdown of it. And the way that I kind of summed it up with this album and how it sounds is Ross at this point is like Detroit Allen Iverson. Some games he looks like he's in his prime. Other games you remember he's not, right? And that's kind of how this album was. He had some records on there where it was like, okay, this is the Rick Ross I remember. But then he had other records on there that was like, yeah, I don't know about this shit. You get what I'm saying? It was 19 songs, which was too long. Standouts was Minx in Miami. You know, the song Living Large with Big X, 23, Remarkable Hustle was cool. Do It One Time, and The Algorithm. But there was 19 records. I only named a few. You get what I'm saying? And then he had a record on there called She's My Star, right? And the person on the hook, that hook sounded like it was intended for Drake. And Drake and Ross had such a good relationship that even though Ross might not be at his peak popularity-wise, Drake might have gave him that one, right? Drake might have gave him that hook if they were still on good terms, but you burn that bridge. And to me, that was a huge mistake. Now, we all know that Ross and 50 never stopped beefing. So, of course, here goes Rick Ross. As he's rolling out the album, he does a sit down with comedian Deion Cole. and he asks him about 50 Cent's baby mom, Daphne Joy, and starts laughing.
Hey, what you think about that nigga baby mama?
What's her name?
You know, the Chinese girl.
Yeah, I met her.
I did too.
I met you.
No. Oh, but you might have. I'm just saying. Nigga ain't getting in your business and that, but shit, let me ask you a question.
And of course, 50 sits back, he waits, rubs his hand like Birdman, and then he tweets out, I just saw your record sales, LOL, 2,000. What the fuck? We don't have the confirmed exact number yet as of the time of this video. 2,000 would be insane, right? Ross does have the #1 album on the iTunes chart as far as hip hop goes. So I don't think it's going to be 2,000. 50 is trolling him, but I do think I was projecting it for 14 or 15K. And now when everybody saw these numbers, Kirko tweeted it out. Shout out to Kirko, super dope page. And all the Iceman trolls are trolling him. All the Drake fans are trolling him because, you know, Drake gave him the line, dog, I was Aiden Ross with streams before Aiden Ross had ever streamed. And now that line looks pretty true because he's not Aiden Ross with streams and the streams is not looking good. Now, I don't think anybody would have batted an eye at Rick Ross's streaming numbers had he not came at Drake. Nobody's expecting Rick Ross in the year of 2026 to sell 100,000 records. T.I., another legend that's been in the game 20 plus years, he sold 22K first week. That's very respectable for somebody this far into their career as a T.I. Rick Ross wasn't that far behind him as far as when he came out. So I don't think nobody would have been tripping on Rick Ross having numbers at this point in his career had you not came at Drake. Had you not ignited the shit back up by saying, Drake's not on my level, Iceman flopped. Bro, how can Iceman have flopped when it did over 600,000 units first week, Ross? Just be real, bro. I understand y'all got a little beef going on. Y'all got a little feud back and forth. But to say it flopped when it was the biggest rap album we've had in years at this point, that's just not a true statement. This is why you got to pick and choose your battles. You needed you needed Drake as an ally right now. You didn't need to be beefing with Drake. You needed him on your side because if he was on your side, maybe he gives you a record. Maybe he gives you a shout out. Either way, that spotlight ain't on your numbers. Nobody would have tripped if this album would have came out and sold 15K at this point had he never beefed with Drake, bro. So I feel like Ross's perception took a lot of hits over the last year or two and even recently. You know what I'm saying? Like, he drops this album, it doesn't perform well. He's at the airport after talking all this big boss shit. There's nothing wrong with it. I get it. He said, yo, the plane was down. I was getting Starlink installed. Cool, that might be true, but from a perception standpoint, when you come in at Drake, niggas are going to troll you about that shit. Now he made the video like, yo, I'm about to go to Costco. I don't want nobody to be mad, right? I thought that was cool. He leaned into the joke. That was cool. But bruh, this is why you shouldn't have came at Drake, bro. Because not everybody looking at your numbers sideways. I think it's okay. If Ross wants to continue to make music, bro, do your thing. I'm never going to tell you to stop that. But I also think it's okay, bro, if you just sit back, be the boss, put another artist on, restart and reignite the new MMG, right? And get behind some artists to push them into the limelight like you once did with Meek Mill, Wale, Stalley, and others on your label at the time. It's okay. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think about these numbers? Did y'all listen to the album? Did he make a mistake dissing Drake? I personally think he did because had he not dissed Drake, had he not came at him about all of this shit, nobody would have tripped on Ross. But now everybody's going to look at your numbers. The perception has been skewed. So y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think, man. It's your boy Silk with Tapped In TV. Until the next video, peace out.